Okay, readers, welcome back to the She Reads Romance Books podcast. Today I have an amazing guest, an author who has written a hockey romance series that I binge read like you wouldn't believe. Here to talk about the final book in this incredible series, the emotional topics that it addresses, and so much more, is the talented Becka Mack. Welcome, Becca.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm literally blushing. It's so funny hearing people like talk about me and say nice things. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, it's all deserved and then some. Oh gosh, that intro could have been like way longer, singing your praises. But I cannot believe that the release date for Breathe With Me, the fifth and final book of the Playing for Keeps series, is upon us. I really don't know how that happened already, but here we
It
are.
really feels like it snuck up. I have a girl in my Facebook group who I think since I announced the release date, she has been posting one quote from the one of the books, any of the books, every single day as we lead up to release, and she starts it with like 100 days until Breathe With Me, and then she puts a quote, just, and it's so awesome and lovely that she does that. But I happened to open it this morning and saw it waiting there to be approved to go into the group, and it was 36 days, and I was like, no, that has to be wrong. How did we get here? It feels like it was just triple digits just like 2 days ago, number one, but 36, I'm like, oh my God, we're at the end of September. It is coming up.
Mhm.
Wow. I don't know. And I don't know how I feel
Amazing.
about it.
I'm sure they're all your babies, but this is a very special baby. I have to say though, I seriously believe this series, it's one of the all-time greats, no lie. I mean, I had a friend in our She Reads Romance book club who she knew I loved hockey romances, and this was maybe a year ago. She was like, "You have to read Becca Mack's series. How have you not?" And I'm like, "I don't know why I haven't." So my family like probably didn't see me for an entire weekend when I finished them all. And then Play With Me came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best book of 2024. And every book has just simply been incredible. So I'm so excited to talk about the fifth and final, which is Breathe With Me. It releases October 28th. But if it's okay, before we get into that book, because I know it's going to be emotional, I'm kind of gearing myself up for it. Can we step back a bit and set the stage for the series for those who might be sort of new to it? First off, this series, Playing for Keeps, it's your first novels, correct? Like that just blows me. So, how did you even become an author and come up with this idea of this series? Sort of take us back to the beginning.
Um, oh gosh, I always like, it's funny because I do feel like I have a very like, a start point that is very defined for me. But then at the same time, it feels like it's just all over the place because I always wanted to be an author. I always wanted to write books. When I was like a child and in elementary school, I was always writing. Um, and then and reading. And then kind of like partway through high school, I just, like it feels like an author felt like one of those kind of jobs that like doesn't happen to regular people, like normal people. Like, how could I become an author? That's not gonna happen. And I kind of just gave up on it and I stopped reading slowly. Um and and then when I was, oh gosh, 28, my brother passed away, and I'm like very vocal about this, so it shouldn't be a shock to most people, but that is why I started writing again and reading again, actually, because um I obviously was really, really struggling. And when I was a few months into grieving him, um, my husband at the time and we started trying to have a baby, and then came the infertility bits where it wasn't working. And so it felt like I was grieving two things.
Mhm.
And I was in therapy, and my therapist was like, you gotta like you gotta like try something creative. And it sounds like, oh my gosh, how many times have you heard that? Like find a creative outlet and stuff. But I remember her saying, like, what's something that you used to do and you used to love and you don't do it anymore? And you like you tell yourself that you don't have time for it or whatever excuse you make. And I said, well, I used to love to read and write. And I said like I really wanted to write and publish a book, but like now I'm 28, so haha, I can't do that now. And she was like, "Well, why not?" And I was like, "You got me there." And I went home that day and I just started writing in the middle of a book, not a book that anybody has seen, but I had had this idea in my head for a while of a book that I really wanted to write. And it was kind of like like that pivotal moment in the book that I had stuck in my head. So I just started right there in the middle of this book, not even knowing the characters, and I just started writing. And I literally couldn't stop. I started that day and I could not stop. And so that was the very beginning of 2020, and I was teaching kindergarten. And 2 months later, we went home for March break,
Mhm.
and then they canceled school for the rest of the year for COVID. And I for me mentally it was really fantastic. I needed that like to step back, and I needed that. And I remember my dog and we would, because remote learning, especially for kindergarten, was not really a thing at that time. Nobody was prepared for that. So I was literally like, I would go on my little classroom Instagram and post a lesson for the day. Then I'd take my dog for like a 1 hour hike. In the middle of the hike, I would just get all these ideas. Nature was so good to me. And I remember I'd be like rushing back to the car to get to my phone so I could write them in my little notes app before I forgot. And I was writing like crazy, like 10,000 words a day. I would just sit down, write all day, have dinner, write again all night. I couldn't stop. I just had all these ideas in my head. So I first wrote Consider Me in March of 2020. I wrote my first draft of it.
Wow.
Um, and my friend was an editor, and she was a freelancer for Wattpad. I'm not sure if you've heard of that app, but it's anybody
Mhm.
can post their stories on it. And she suggested, I said, like I do feel like they're kind of good. Like I feel like, people might enjoy these. How could I get feedback on them? And I wasn't looking to be published. I just wanted to share it because I liked it so much. And she suggested Wattpad, and I ended up posting a different story first on Wattpad, and then I posted Consider Me in October of that year,
Mhm.
and people loved it, and they loved Carter Beckett, and I was like, holy shit. Wow, like people love him. And I was just blown away by it. And it's funny because when I started, like as I said, I had stopped reading. So I started reading again when I started writing. So I didn't know that like these interconnected se series were a thing where you would like do one couple and then another couple in the friend
Yeah.
group, because I had been out of reading for so long. And um, so when I first wrote Consider Me, Emma and Cara were already together because I wasn't gonna write any more books in this. And as I was like getting like, I got to like the 75% mark, and I was like, Garrett and Jenny can be really good together. And like Adam has this, shitty girlfriend. We need to find someone new for him. And then all these ideas start brewing, right? But when I originally wrote that book, it was going to be a one and done, Carter and Olivia, and that's it. And
Wow.
yeah, here
Well,
we are.
here we are. And thank God for your therapist. I feel like I need to send her the biggest gift in the world for getting you writing. And I
Yeah.
cannot believe Consider Me as your first book. I mean, you should be writing, like doing workshops on how to do it because your writing is so good. And the fact that you didn't even have this whole series plotted out, amazing.
I will say, like the version that everybody's reading now has got to be like the fourth round of it. And I know I've said this before as well, but I wrote it, and then when I posted it on Wattpad, I like rewrote it. So the Wattpad version was the second edit,
Yeah.
and then I edited it again before I self-published it, and then I edited it one more time when it got picked up by my publishers. So yes, it has seen four rounds
Wow.
of edits, and um I still like it's funny because I mean we're our own worst critics. So I still go back and I reread parts of it and I love the characters, I love the storyline, but I look at my writing then and I look at my writing now and I go, wow, I've improved so much. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back and just have one more go at this book and just really tidy it up. And I mean, anyone can see they start really big. And then I slowly dwindle down my word count as I go through the series because I'm still learning. Because, yes, it is my first series. So I'm still figuring out how to, convey the same message, but in fewer words and still have it be impactful and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really big learning process, but it's fun. It's so neat for me to go back and look at that those first books and go, wow, look how far I've come now. Or like I just got a brand new computer. Sorry, I'm gabbing. Um,
No, I love it.
I just got a brand new computer because I ran out of space on my other computer, which is such a me thing to do. Um, but I was, as I was transferring it over, I did come across that very first book that I wrote that I started that one random day.
Hmm.
And I went, wow, oh my God, this is hot garbage. Like it is.
But it's
But I
gonna feel good
read
to see
it.
the
Yeah.
progression. Yeah.
I love the characters. I love the storyline, but oh my God, frantically was like every other word. All the characters were doing everything frantically, and I was constantly talking about their brows, like their brows shot up, the brows pulled down, they did this, and the girl was always fluttering her eyelashes, and I was like, I had nothing else to say. That was it. It was just
That was
vibes.
it.
But
Oh my
it is
God.
fun to see how
Yes.
much I've improved and grown as an author in those years. So I really love it.
Well, I'm sure thousands upon thousands of, words later, we're now in book five, Breathe With Me, which I said releasing October 28th. So can you tell listeners a little bit about what this book is about? And at what point did you know you were going to write Cara and Emmett's story?
Um, so I think by the time I got to like that kind of 75% mark in Consider Me, but the second time around. So when I was publishing it right on Wattpad and I because that's the point where I got to it and I was like, I need to change some of this book here.
Mm.
And that's when I knew that I was going to write their book, and I started kind of planting I think I planted like one single tiny seed in Consider Me, um, to start what would the kind of focus be in their book, um, and I mean it makes sense to me actually because at that time I was pregnant with my first, finally.
Hmm.
After infertility. So it to me made sense that I was like, I want to put this into someone else's story. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, so yeah, Breathe With Me well, it's not really a spoiler because we know what it's going to be about.
Yeah,
Give
sorry.
us a no, it's okay. Brief summary for people just tuning in. They've probably already binge read the series like I did, and now we're on to this next book. What is Breathe With Me? Give us a quick and dirty. They're quick and dirty.
So
If possible, or we don't have to.
I know it's how do you say quick? And I'm like, well,
I
I'm
know.
not good
I
at
know,
that.
right?
I Breathe With Me is we do get like some of their backstory, so there is some flashbacks written in. I will say that because everybody wants to see that. But
Mhm.
Breathe With Me is Cara and Emmett's journey to parenthood. And I there is romance, it's their story, but I would say that it is more heavily focused on Kara's journey. through all of this because we really get to see, um, obviously, they find out that it is not easy. And I kind of picked them for it two reasons. They were already together.
Hmm.
And to everyone else, they look like this. They're this power couple.
Hmm.
They can withstand anything. Um, there is a point in Carter's and Olivia's book where Carter says, but everything with you guys has been perfect and easy from the beginning. And Kara's like, well, like it looks perfect and easy, but that doesn't mean that we don't have our struggles and everything.
Hmm.
But they are two people that saw each other and knew right away that, they were kind of meant to be. And so it was like, okay, they're gonna have this perfect love story. Where else are we gonna put the conflict or the struggles and see that growth and everything? And they felt like the perfect couple for it because they are this power couple, and Emmett's love is just absolutely like all encompassing, unconditional. He's so steady,
Hmm.
but Cara is such a strong and confident woman, and everybody loves her because she loves herself. And I think we have, like, in our society, like, it's almost like we aren't allowed to love ourselves out
Hmm.
loud the way that this woman does in this book,
Yes.
but we should be doing that. We should be
Yes.
loving ourselves like that. And she is such an inspiration to me. When I write her in these moments throughout the whole series, I'm like, I want to be her when I grow up. I'm 35. Can I still do that? Like,
Same.
you
Same
know,
girl.
but this was to me this perfect woman, this perfect couple to have this infertility storyline, because infertility um, wrecks you. It
Hmm.
it destroys you. It is, obviously it's physical, but it is so much more a mental battle. And I mean, really, if you don't go through it in any aspect, it's almost impossible to understand what it does to you. And I was like, we're gonna, everyone loves Kara because she's so strong. She loves herself. She's so confident. She solves all the problems, and I'm gonna destroy her. But then
Hmm.
we're gonna build her back up. And I just felt like this is the story for them. And I mean, for myself, I really wanted this outlet. I wanted that release. I wanted to see what I went through in a book and in a couple, and I wanted to see, how they came through it and everything.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's their journey, and it's up the mountain and down the mountain, and
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I love on your website you call yourself an author who's a super fan of dragging you through hell. And I'm like, well, consider that done with this book.
Yes.
I was bawling my eyes out because I think I mean, obviously, you truly captured all the feelings and situations that a woman and a couple find themselves in while on this journey. And I say that as someone who hasn't had this experience, but I'm an acupuncturist in my real life. And so I see a ton of patients going through IVF and IUI and all those things. So I can sort of see it through them. But was it really cathartic for you in writing this, or extremely difficult, or just both? I mean,
Both. Yeah. Yeah, it was both. And I knew it would be going into it. Yeah, I knew it would be hard. I knew it would be cathartic. I didn't know it was going to be as hard as it was. I also, and I have talked a little bit about this, but my husband and I separated actually just a year ago now. Um, so writing this, where this couple comes through it, and we're not separating because of everything with the fertility process, but because writing this book where this couple comes through and are stronger than ever, is it just added a really extra hard layer to this when I am in the middle of separating. Like, my marriage is falling apart here, and I'm ending it, and now I'm writing this book about our experience, my experience heavily, and them coming through it.
Hmm.
But that's like, it's like, oh gosh, this is no longer, that same ending. And that added a whole other layer to it. And I really, obviously, this book has been delayed
I was
a
just going to
lot.
say, did you give yourself time and process and not, yeah. Maybe.
I did have to step away, and I'm so grateful because I have amazing agents and editors and all the publishers that have given me so much grace and patience with this,
Mhm.
because obviously it's a time, everything going on is really difficult. Um, and but there were times when I would be writing certain scenes and it felt like I was just breaking wide open because it would take me and put me right back into how I felt
Mhm.
during that. And you read the book already?
Yes, I
You
have.
did.
Yes, loved
There's
it.
I and I'll try and say this without spoilers, but there's that one chapter where we count down for
Mm.
24 months straight.
Yes.
And that
Brutal.
chapter, I got to the end of it, and she says like three words to herself in the mirror. She just looks at herself in the mirror and says, "I hate you." And I was like, done. I was like, wow. It hurt. It was so cathartic. It was like,
Mhm.
holy crap. Like
Mhm.
it really did at the end of it. I do feel like it kind of healed parts of myself that were still, in living in that space that I had been for so long.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was hard and it was cathartic and it was worth it. And honest to God, just seeing the response from early readers who have gone through it or are going through it
Mhm.
has made
Yes.
it so worth it because they're just feeling so seen. And that's like all I think I could hope for, honestly, because it's so lonely. People don't talk about it.
Mhm.
And you feel so alone. But the reality is that I think nowadays more people experience it on some level than don't. Um, so
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad to hear that because I feel like it is such a gift, this book, to people going through it or not going through it. I mean, I had one miscarriage, and yeah, you just don't talk about those things. And to hear, have somebody be so vulnerable and put her own experiences something that cannot be easy, and yet you did, and I'm so grateful for it. In that chapter you talked about, I feel like it hit at such an important part in that book that you're just, and it's how you wrote it in that quick, you're just like hit with this, oh my gosh, moment, like this is what this woman and couple has gone through, and
Yeah.
it was intense.
Mhm.
But what I'm going to step back for a minute from that heaviness. Like, as the beginning of the book, right? You alternate and go back and forth between sort of the present and the past. So we do get a glimpse of how their relationship started. And I absolutely adored how you started things off with that scene where they first met. It was just so perfect for them. Did and I'm trying to remember in my mind, like, had that been planned? Has that been mentioned in other books, or did you like have that idea all along, or did you just craft different ways and then this one just stuck because it was like perfect?
Yeah, it's like I think I'd mentioned in Carter's book
Hmm.
that um when Cara and Emmett met, it was like, instantaneous and everything. And Carter says something like to the effect of like, you know, they were meant to be blah blah blah. Um, they've been planning their wedding basically since the day that they met. And he's like, it's true. I was there. He called her Mrs. Brody to her face. And, she ate that shit up. And
Yeah.
so all I knew was that the guys had to be there because
Hmm.
of that. And then it had to be this, yeah, like one look kind of thing. And him call, but he would totally do that with her. Like she just knows her worth. So you got to go in hard and just
Yeah, you gotta step up. Yeah.
and yeah, it felt I sat down to write this book though, and I was like, okay, but how are
Right.
they meeting? What is,
Right.
and I was like, they gotta have sex day one, because their relationship throughout the series is very physical. Like,
Hmm.
we know these two have sex a lot. Like,
Yeah.
they have no issues in the bedroom, which I think then makes that infertility storyline a little bit ironic.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I was like, they're having sex, there, doesn't matter where they are, and like, let's make it a little bit inappropriate because that's them. And
Yes.
so yeah, I didn't know. I sat down and I was like, all I know is he's got to call her Mrs. Brody and the guys have to be there. What are we doing? And it made sense that it would be then an event. And I kind of just I always end up doing this in books and I don't figure it out till I'm like halfway through, but I did it on New Year's Day is when they meet, and New Year's Day is Emmett's birthday, and then New Year's Day kind of becomes an important day for them through through the book. Like, they get engaged on New Year's Day the following year, which is not a spoiler because if you've read Consider Me,
Hmm.
then then you know that. But then other things happen on New Year's Day throughout the book, and I always find myself not realizing that I'm doing that until I get partway through a book and I'm like, wait a second, this looks so intentional, let's go with it.
Because
um
Valentine's Day is a big day. Yeah. For
yeah, but yeah, I sat down to write that first chapter and I had no idea really where I was going with it.
Well, I like how you said you knew you were going to put this particular couple through all that because they're like couple goals. I mean, them, as we've seen throughout the series, they have this once in a lifetime chemistry and love between them. And like you said, they have a lot of sex in this book, especially the first half, and it just fits who they are. How do you write those steamy scenes so freaking well? I mean, so good.
It's so funny because I am either one or the other with the sex scene, in that either I'm like, I cannot write this, it's impossible, like, or this, or they're my favorite and they just like come out of me. And normally it's like if they're doing something different. And by different, I just mean like it's not just sex. Like
Yeah.
if there's like toy play or something like that that adds like a little bit of excitement to it or makes it a little different, like with
Mhm.
Play With Me, because there was so much toy play. Um, I loved writing every sex scene in that book because it made it really fun.
Mhm.
And that's how I am with them. If we're just having sex, half the time it's not fun for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to write a sex scene tomorrow. What am I gonna do? And then half the time I end up like just putting like brackets, insert sex scene here. I'm like, I'll get back to this.
Got it.
But it's because it can be hard because it feels sometimes really repetitive and yeah, I don't know, but
That's why I
sometimes
think you're
they're,
so good because it doesn't seem repetitive. Even
well,
though
I'm
they
glad to
argue
hear
quite a
that.
bit, I'm like, it just makes sense and it flows and everyone is so good. And I'm just like, seriously, this woman is just amazing. And
I had a sex scene written for almost the end of that book that I was so excited to write, and in the end I had to scrap the idea of it because and that this was one of the ones where it was like more that, not that I didn't want to write it, but that I was on such a tight deadline because I missed all my other deadlines, that I was like, okay, I put in brackets insert sex scene here. Um and in the end I ended up having to scrap it because the book was too big. And I was gutted. It was like, I don't want to do it because it feels important, because it was gonna be just, I'll just tell you guys since it's not happening. Maybe I'll write it as a bonus one day.
yes,
It was gonna be in the alleyway of a bar, and it was just gonna be like really like kind of like rough and dirty type of thing. But it felt so important to me because we were gonna be seeing them get that back, that part of
yes,
them back.
yes.
Um, but yeah, in the end I couldn't write it, so I tried to just put in like little bits of things other places. But
Hmm.
yeah, maybe I'll write it as a bonus scene because yeah, I do get so excited about some of them, and then other times I'm just like,
That could be
oh
that could be a
no.
Valentine's Day gift or something. Yeah.
Yeah, great idea.
Well, okay, let's talk about Kara because she is such a force throughout every book. I love this woman. And I think she's someone who each of the women and men in these books can lean on. I mean, I love her so much. And like you said, I want to be her when I grow up, right? What do you want readers to know about Kara, especially like during and after reading this book?
I think I want readers to remember that she is, I mean, fictional, but she is a human
Hmm.
because one of my worries, and I think that this is more so kind of like that stigma around infertility and whatnot, and how people from the outside view it. But
Hmm.
I worry that everybody just sees her as that strong, like unbreakable person who's invincible, but she is not.
Hmm.
Nobody is. And I think the biggest thing that I want readers to like go into this story with is knowing that she's human and she's not invincible and nobody is, and to give her grace and to, because yeah, she's not going to be perfect, and she's looked so perfect from the outside of all these books, but this is the first time we're in her head. Um, and I think I just, what I want a reader to take away from watching her character throughout this book is that it is okay to struggle. It is okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's
Hmm.
okay to move slowly. It's okay to stop and pause. Um, you can't show up for everybody else when you can't show up for yourself. So you have to show up for yourself first, because we do get to that point where she is always that person for everybody. She
Hmm.
always comes in and she's like saving the day for everyone. And she like how long can a person keep that up if they are not doing that for themselves?
Hmm.
Um So I hope that everyone will give her that grace when they start the book, but also, yeah, when you leave it, I hope that we can all, I don't know, like embody her spirit a little bit, because
Yeah.
oh my, I wish I could love myself that way that she does. Honestly, at the end of the book, there is so much self-reflection from her on this journey and what she's been through, and she's really, in the end, it's really reaffirmed her love for herself and her self-worth.
Hmm.
And I think that's so beautiful, but it's something that so many people, and especially women, struggle with. So I think that it's almost like we separate the two. Like, if you are struggling, you cannot also love yourself and you can't do this, but like, you can have one with the other and they are going to coexist. So I think we need to learn that, and hopefully we will learn that through Kara. Like, you can struggle and you can feel like you're not enough sometimes and all that, but like, it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to stay there for a little while, and then we're going to get back up and we're going to remind ourselves, like, we went through this, we can do this, and so on and so forth, and kind
Yeah.
of being grateful for all the things that our brains and our bodies and our hearts can do for us.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I love how a key theme throughout this series is really like the bond between the women who find themselves as a part of this, family that they've developed. I mean, the boys have their extra bond as the teammates, right? But the women grow just as close. But then there's this friendship between Olivia and Kara that's just so beautiful. Do you have a friendship like theirs, or did you just wrote it wishing you had one because they're pretty special?
Yeah, I gotta be honest, almost all my friends are long distance, so I don't feel like
Mhm.
I don't have exactly that replicated, but all of my best friends are friends I have found in this writing community. which is
Amazing.
so fun and cool for me.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky because Hannah Bonham Young is one of them, and she is close by. So I do have this fantastic relationship with her, and I
Oh,
have this fantastic relationship with my other gals who are all authors as well. But they live far. But like all of them are those types of people that will drop everything to be there for you. And I think that's what matters. And it's kind of a point that I got to in my life. And I think all of these women get there as well in these stories, especially you see this a lot in Play With Me with Jenny's story, because she's really like desperate for friendship and looking out at the other people who have all these friends, but it is really quantity over quality over
yeah.
quantity, not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, oh my gosh, it really is like so I'm so lucky for that. It's like, oh my God, if I have only 10 friends, I am so lucky that my 10 friends are these incredible people.
Hmm.
And it's the same with these girls in this group, like, and I think that like that's kind of what this series is almost about, is like finding the right people to
Hmm.
surround yourself with, because then you're not going to ever go through anything
Hmm.
alone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I loved him. I love every single female character you wrote in Men, but Emmett. So okay, we'll talk about Emmett for a minute. The hero of the story. I mean, he is just a man after my own heart. I mean, honestly, it takes one look at Cara, right? And he's like, "That is my wife,"
Yeah.
and his love for her never wavered. Like, I'm sure men like him exist. Maybe I don't know. But like all of your
We keep
heroes
telling ourselves
are just
this.
perfect. I know, right? What do you want readers then to know about Emmett, either before, during, or after this book? I know.
You know what? I think that, my goodness. And I mean, this is something that struggled with, still struggle with, is that most often, I think, of course, there are people who go through like the fertility process who are doing it all on their own. There is a partner, though, most of the time. And often we forget what that partner is going through because they're not the ones who are injecting themselves with medication and stuff like that, and going to like the daily blood draws and like all that kind of stuff and the
Right.
cycle monitoring, and they're not the ones who are, kind of, it is very different for the partner, I will say that. um but I do think we forget that the partner still does struggle.
Mhm.
Um, and they feel so lost. Like I think at the end of the day, like for Emmett, his life is Kara.
Mhm.
It is Kara. He would rather have Kara than a baby. He would rather have Kara than anything. He will choose her. She's his life
Mhm.
and she's his person. Um, and I think that, same as kind of how I said with Kara, give her some patience and some grace. I think you're gonna mostly see that Emmett is very steady throughout it for Kara, but there are those moments where he's lost. He's just like, I don't know what to do. And it's same thing, like, give him that patience, and everything to get to figure it out and to get there. And because it's so easy to read on page and be like, you need to do this, but like in real life
Mhm.
we don't operate like that. We don't operate where we're like seeing everybody's perspective and have all of the information necessary to make a decision right then and there, and it's the best decision. And um but also, like, look for a partner like Emmett. If you don't have a partner, like, that's the kind of guy that everybody needs in their life. He is very steady, he's very constant, he is always there, even when he doesn't know what to do.
Mhm.
like he's gonna show up.
Yeah.
And he is not giving up ever. So
Yeah. Oh, I love him. But I think readers will also be excited to know that like all the OGs from the previous books make an appearance, are pretty involved in the story. But let's just talk about Carter for a second. Because, you know, he's the captain of the hockey team, hero of book one. He provides the best comedic relief when you need it. Like, what do you just love most about Carter?
Um, honest to God, I feel like he is such a multifaceted like character. Like he does that. Like the comedic relief, he's the leader, he's whatever. He's everything though. Like I love those moments, and he always has a moment in every book because he's very silly and everything. But he always has a moment in every book where he is connecting so deeply with a character in the book who's struggling.
Mhm.
And I love that he can be silly and he can be himself, and he is very emotionally mature still. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, he is silly, he's immature in, in the way that he's like a child at heart, but very emotionally mature. And I love that he does not lose that.
Mhm.
I love that he never feels like he has to tone himself down for these people.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything that speaks to those people because they like he exhausts them, but they love him for exhausting them,
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's funny, like when I write a scene where he's acting like, oh my God, what is this guy doing now? And Olivia is like thinking the same thing, but then you have her being like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like she's
I
like,
know.
wow, you're so embarrassing. And but I'm so embarrassed by myself because I love you so much. Like you're. He
Yeah.
doesn't tone himself down for anybody. He is so proud of who he is, but he is so like he just loves the best way, I think, because he's so open about his emotions and about his love, not just for, Olivia and his kids, but for his friends and his family. Like he is not ever going to be quiet about that. And he's so proud to
Yeah.
have these people in his life and to love them. And I think that's just really beautiful because, again, kind of going back on stigmas and stuff, there's that stigma around men that they can't do that.
Right.
And that needs to be broken. So it's okay to love your
Yeah.
guys out loud. And I love that he does that. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's a favorite and he's not shy about his love of Oreos in this book either. I love how you
Oh,
put that back too.
I actually like teared up writing that
I,
scene.
I can imagine. I kind of did too. I was just like, oh my gosh, yeah.
I could picture it like playing out in my
Same.
head, and I was like, oh my God, I don't Oreo needs to do a quarterback at Oreo. Like, come on.
He planted the
This
seeds
is
very, very
yeah.
well. Yeah.
And then you see like I think some NHL players have done like Oreo sponsorships, or the Leafs have like Oreos on their helmet, and I'm like, somebody in the NHL or at Oreo is reading my books. You cannot convince me otherwise. Somebody is reading my books.
Well, we first need to get this into a TV series like
Yes,
ASAP.
that would
And then
be lovely.
after that, we come to the Oreo sponsorship because they're like, oh, everybody loves this. This makes sense. So, yeah,
Yeah, I know that man
that's
loves
what
his
I'm holding out
Oreos.
for. Well, is it impossible then to say like who your favorite hero or heroine of the series is? Because I
It,
mean, it's
yeah.
impossible for me, but
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. I know people
yeah.
always ask me, and I'm like, how dare you? I won't ever the answer. Like, I love every character for like exactly who they are, and I think they all bring something different to that family. Um, I will say that the easiest book for me to write and my favorite book to write was Fall With Me. I
Mm.
don't know why it just flowed out of me. Um, I loved it. and I loved writing it. I loved the whole process of it. Um, it was just so fun. But then I always think it's fun to write like a man who is just such a
Yeah.
softie, like underneath it all, and is so silly and like, singing to his cat and stuff like that. It was such a fun book to write. And I mean, they're both very kind of sarcastic, which is also my personality and like my kind of love language, so that made it probably easier as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I love every book for different reasons, every character for different reasons. I could not
Yeah.
pick a favorite. I couldn't do it.
Well, given how important this book is for the series and for you, is there, looking back now, is there like a favorite scene that you're just super proud of, or just that still like means so much to you having written it?
For this book, it is probably that chapter that I
Mhm.
briefly brought up. um, because every time I reread it, it still hits me exactly the same way.
Mhm.
And if if any book can make me like cry and feel like such intense emotions, like it's so special to me. So when my writing can do that, it's 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 great for me. It just, I don't know, it's like such a compliment to myself. But
Yeah.
um yeah, I that and I think there's like another scene, it's towards the end and it's mostly just inner monologue of Cara kind of reflecting on everything, and it just it yeah, I can't even
Mhm.
say what it means to me.
And I won't say what's in it, but I think everyone's gonna love the epilogue for sure.
Yeah. Oh, the epilogue was
That was
very
awesome.
fun to
Yeah.
write. But
Well,
also hard because I was like,
yeah,
oh
I
my
bet
God, I gotta wrap this up for everyone and for myself. And is this gonna make the people happy?
it did. Yes.
Mhm.
And then some. Well, I just think you are phenomenal. I mean, you write the most amazing characters with their backstories and just the story pacing, and everything comes together in this amazing package. So I know that Breathe With Me comes out October 28th, but is it too soon to ask like what's coming next or what can we look forward to?
Uh, so and some people will know about this book because it was, I started, oh my God, now it was like 2 years ago, I think. I did a hockey anthology with a group of other authors, and we all had to write a short story. But, one thing about me is that I don't do short stories. So it was meant to be, what was supposed to be a one night stand, but they like really connect, and, she's supposed to move away. But then at the end of it, something happens and she doesn't have to move away. So, we feel like it's wrapped up. They get to be together at the end, and it was supposed to be hockey. Um, but I ended up loving the idea so much. I turned it into uh they got 4 chapters in the anthology, and it ended with us fast forwarding, a couple weeks after, and this girl is pregnant. So they get pregnant off the one night stand, which is quite the switch up from an infertility storyline. But I love like a surprise pregnancy book. I really do. But anyways, it's the called The Turnover, and it is a Swedish hockey player playing in the NHL, and this woman is like got a friends with benefits, and she's about to move away for her work. She's building a business, and she goes to this hockey game, and she's sitting right behind the glass, and her and the hockey player kind of share a few moments, and she is very Cara coded, very Cara coded, like knows her worth, won't settle, very like snippy, great one liners. And the hockey player finds her at the bar after the game and steals her from her date. And they go to the fair, and she says she's not going to have sex with him. Obviously, she does have sex with him. and but it's very like the connection is just there right from the beginning, and he's already planning, the next handful of dates and what they're gonna do. And in her head, you see that she's like, I wish I could stay, but I can't because I'm not giving up on my dreams. And um, then she sneaks out and we open, yeah, I think 6 weeks later or something like that. And he's in Miami, which is where she unknowingly moved to. And he's there for a game. His mom is living there and he meets with her to meet with her interior designer. And the interior mom is going on about how much she loves her and they're going to Pilates together and doing this. And, but she's newly pregnant and all this stuff. And then he
Oh
sees
my
her and
God.
it's her. So yeah, that
I'm
is
excited.
coming next. I have to finish that one. After that, I've got a baseball series. The first book is written of that, but I wrote it in
Oh,
2021. So it does need to be updated to my like current style. But I have a baseball series that is very similar to Playing for Keeps in that it's this big family we've got, family of friends. Um, and it's got all the humor and the spice and everything, but it would be more like the last few books where like the underlying themes are quite heavy.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, got
Oh my gosh,
got
I'm
lots
so
on my
excited.
plate.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait
Yeah.
to circle back and talk to you about those. Oh my gosh. That is fantastic. And that makes me feel better that more is to come from
hmm
Becca Mack. Yay.
I know, but I'm also like, it's weird. I'm excited to write new characters and everything, and at the same time, I'm like, how? How do I actually say goodbye to Carter and Olivia and
Yeah.
Cara and Emmett and everyone. How? I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't know
It's
if I
got to be a
can.
good feeling.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, I'm just in awe of your talent. And thank you for, opening yourself up and being so vulnerable in writing this book. I'm sure I speak for every reader who has loved this series, but this is a truly special book.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so everybody get Breathe with me, but you have to binge read the whole Playing for Keeps series because it's incredible. But Breathe with Me comes out October 28th. You're definitely going to want to read it. It's, gosh, fantastic. So before we go though, because I know everyone's want to keep up on your work and when the next one's coming out, so where can listeners find you on social so we always stay up to date on what's coming from Becca Mack?
Ye- I am most active on my Instagram, and that is beckamack.author, and my Facebook group as well, which is Becca's Book Babes, if you're on Facebook. I am on TikTok as well. Same thing, but very active on the other two.
Awesome. Yay. Well, thank
Yay.
you so much for sharing. This was, gosh, dream come true talking to you about your books. I love them. Just thank you for each and every single one of them. It's
Thank
fantastic.
you for reading them. That means so much to me. I love hearing like that they mean anything to somebody. It's such a dream come true for me. So,
Awesome. Thanks again.
thank you.